Annette Kimmitt joins us live now from Monaco. She is the Global Growth Markets Leader and Asia Pacific Accounts Leader at EY. Annette, thank you so much for joining us and making us all jealous with that backdrop that you have there. I want to start off by asking you, how much of an impact do you think this outcome of the election is really going to have on Asia and Asian businesses?
Well, Tony, it's still a little bit early to tell, but there's one school of thought that says the election outcome could mean a much softer Brexit negotiation. And if that's the case, then that could actually be a really good thing for business. We could be seeing trade policy and trade access actually not perhaps being as impacted as it might have been had there been a much harder Brexit negotiation. And if that happens, that's going to be good not only for businesses in the UK, but actually for all businesses that are doing that have operations or trading in and out of Europe and out of the UK.
Yeah, and certainly there are a lot of Asian businesses that operate in the UK, use it as their European hub. We saw that post-Brexit that Nissan got a pretty sweet deal from the government to encourage it to stay in the United Kingdom. Do you think that we should expect some perhaps more wheeling and dealing, because there are still a number of Asian firms in London which have not moved yet?
Yeah, look, that's right. But I do think that if we do go down the path of a more collaborative and a softer Brexit negotiation, we might actually see some trade opportunities continue to exist between the UK and mainland Europe. That actually means they may not need to be making these sorts of sweetener deals for Asian companies to stay in London. They may actually be able to continue to operate in an unimpeded way into Europe. So I think it is a little bit early to tell, but certainly the word we're hearing here in Europe is that there's a growing sentiment that a softer, more collaborative Brexit negotiation is likely to be the outcome.
Do you think that would encourage more Asian companies to start buying in the UK right now? We saw that after Brexit initially happened, at least because partially because the pound dropped so much. I mean, SoftBank buying ARM Holdings. Should we expect more deals like that? Are businesses perhaps feeling a bit more comfortable?
Yeah, look, we just recently released a report while we were here in Monaco for our World Entrepreneur of the Year program. And that report, we surveyed the sentiment of about 2,400 business leaders from growth companies right around the world. And what was really interesting in those findings was that the most bullish in terms of their growth ambitions and expectations for the next 12 months were actually the early stage startup companies in the UK. And we found that to be quite an interesting outcome, given that those were the companies that were staring down the barrel of 2 years of Brexit negotiations, yet they were the most ambitious in terms of their growth expectations. So I do think that's still going to create great opportunity for Asian businesses to look to investments in the UK.
On the flip side of that, I mean, it used to be that political uncertainty would always be coming from the developing nations, but here we are. We have two shock elections in less than a year in the UK. We have Donald Trump in the United States. Does this uncertainty in any way have companies perhaps reassessing where they want to operate?
Well, again, interestingly, you might think that at first glance, but our survey came back with a really clear message that more than 90% of business leaders see this degree of uncertainty, the geopolitical shifts, the rising populism, things like the Brexit, the UK election, the Paris Climate Accord. They actually came back and told us that they see this as a major opportunity for growth through that uncertainty. I do think businesses have now internalised uncertainty as the new norm and are just getting on with business. What they told us was that they were much more focused on innovation, remaining agile, so that they could seize the upside of the opportunities that come out of this sort of uncertainty.
Yeah, certainly that go-getter attitude. Thank you so much for joining us, Annette Kimmitt from EY.